So we have blank plus 1/16 is equal to 3 halves. So I encourage you to pause the video and figure out what blank is. What plus 1/16 is equal to 3 halves? All right, now let's work through this together. Well, one thing that might make it a little bit simpler for our brains is if we were to express 1/16 and 3 halves with a common denominator. Well, when we think about a common denominator, we would look at a common multiple of the denominators here. And lucky for us, 16 is already divisible by 2. It's divisible by 16 as well. So it is the common multiple, or it is the least common multiple of 16 and 2. There are other common multiples, but the smallest one is going to be 16 times 1, which is also divisible by 2. So let's write both of these fractions. Let's rewrite this equation where both of these fractions have 16 as their denominators. This one obviously already has it. So let's write that. So we're going to have blank plus 1/16. 1/16 is equal to, let's see, let's write 3 halves as something over 16. Well, to get our denominator from 2 to 16, we have to multiply by 8. So we have to multiply the numerator by 8 as well. So 3 times 8 is going to be 24. Now at this point, you might be able to do it in your head. You'll say, okay, blank plus 1/16 is equal to 24/16. We could say, okay, we could view this as a certain number of sixteenths. So how many sixteenths plus 1/16 is going to be 24/16? Well, 23/16. If I have 23/16 and I add one more 16th, I'm going to have 24/16. Another way that you could have thought about it, you could even have thought about it from the first step, is you could say, look, if blank plus 1/16 is equal to 3 halves, then you could say that blank is going to be equal to 3 halves minus 1/16. Minus 1/16. This is another way that you could have tackled it. If blank plus 1/16 is 3 halves, then blank is going to be equal to 3 halves minus 1/16. And we know that this is going to be equal to 3 halves, we already know, is the same thing as 24/16. So 24 over 16 minus 1/16. Minus 1/16, which we figured out is 23/16, which is equal to, I'll just rewrite it again, 23 over 16. Let's do another example. So here, this is a little bit different. I have blank minus 3/4 is equal to 2/3. And there's a couple of ways to think about it. If blank minus 3/4 is equal to 2/3, that one way to think about it, you could say, well, blank, that means that blank is going to be the same thing as 2/3 plus 3/4. 2/3 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. And what is this going to be? Well, once again, I could rewrite both of these fractions so they have a common denominator. Well, what's the least common multiple of 3 and 4? Well, we could look at the multiples of 4 and keep increasing them until we find one that's perfectly divisible by 3. 4 isn't divisible by 3. 8 isn't divisible by 3. 12 is divisible by 3. In fact, it's 3 times 4 is 12. So we can rewrite both of these as something over 12. So this is going to be the same thing as, so to go from 3 to 12, we multiply by 4. So you have to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. So 2 times 4 is 8. 2/3 is the same thing as 8/12. So this is going to be equal to 8/12 plus, and then 3/4 is the same thing as what over 12? Well, to go from 4 to 12, you have to multiply by 3. So you have to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. 3 times 3 is 9. And what's that going to be equal to? So it's equal to this, which is equal to 8/12 plus 9/12 is going to be 8 plus 9 is 17. 17/12. So we get 17/12 minus 3/4 is equal to 2/3. Now another way that you could have done it is you could have just kept it the same. You could have said, okay, let me just rewrite this, but I'm going to rewrite the fraction so that they have a common denominator. We already said, well, our common denominator we'd want to use is 12, at least that's the one we use. We could use 24 or something larger than that, but this would have been the least common multiple, so this keeps things a little bit simpler. And 3/4 we could have rewritten as 9/12. 9 over 12 is equal to, and 2/3 you could rewrite as 8 over 12. And you could assume that this is going to be a certain number of twelfths. So blank twelfths minus 9/12 is equal to 8/12. So if I have blank of something minus 9 of something, and I'm left with the 8 of that something, well, that means that I had 17 of that something to begin with. 17/12 minus 9/12 is equal to 8/12. But either way, you get 17/12 for our blank.